So hey anime fans, the series name is What If Naruto Went Into the Universe. So let's start the series. As your blue eyes slowly opened and watched the night sky filled with all the stars and planets through the half-lidded eye. The eyes turned to look to the left and saw the grass underneath. The eyes closed once again and the person to whom the eyes belonged sighed. Opening his eyes once again, the person slowly stood up and stretched their back. The person lifted their right hand and looked at the palm of it. How long have I been here? The person thought and sighed once more. The person black ninja sandals moved through the grass without the slightest sound, even if the person wasn't trying to walk quietly. The person was simply accustomed to walking this way and did this unconsciously. A warm breeze made the person's black pants to flutter as the person started to walk towards a large tree. The only thing besides grass and the person in the view. It took the blue-eyed person some time to walk to the gigantic tree. Yo, Hagoromo, said the person. The voice was making it obvious that the person was a male. From the sound of it, the person's voice wasn't cold or rude, it held warmth in it, but it was suppressed by the boredom, which filled the voice. A pair of purple, ringed eyes opened and Hagoromo smiled from his lotus position. What can I do for you today, Naruto? His voice was calm, warm and inviting, a voice of a caring grandfather, who was talking to his grandchild. Naruto sat down and run his right hand through his golden, spiky hair. The hair reached till the base of his neck and fell on his eyes, while two bangs were on each side of his face. How long have I been here and when does team come back? Naruto asked and scratched his right cheek, which had 3 whiskers marks, exactly like his left cheek. Hagoromo closed his eyes for a few moments before opening them and looking back at the blonde. If I am correct, you and Sasuke have been here for 174 years, he answered and looked upon the stars. I do not know when exactly Sasuke plans to come back, but he is gone for exactly 1.5 years already, he continued. The blonde sighed and started to roll up the sleeves of his black, button-up shirt, until they reached his elbow, showing the muscles on his forearms. I see. The blonde answered and took out a necklace with a green crystal from under his shirt, and looked at it with a small smile. Naruto looked at the meditating Hagoromo of the corner of his eyes. The man was Hagoromo Otsutsuki, the creator of all things. He created himself out of nothing and then proceeded to create everything. First, the world on which Naruto lived, then the galaxy, then other galaxies, followed by other dimensions. He used the Rinnegan, the strongest eyes in the existence, to create worlds and lives. He was the creator of everything, yet there was only one dimension in which people knew his real name. The dimension that Naruto and Sasuke came from, the first dimension. There were also some dimensions where he was remembered, but his name was long since forgotten. That he was remembered. The blonde looked up once more and with a bored sigh, he lied on the soft grass. He remembered Hagoromo saying that each star that they could see from here was a dimension he had created. Of course, each dimension was different. In one they might have found out how to fly and in another, they might just have discovered how to make fire. Now was the question, where was he? Naruto was in something that tied all dimension, yet no one was able to enter it. It was a limbo between everything. The blonde could go everywhere anytime, yet no one could come here. Hagoromo created this place so he could have watched over everything from here. Of course, time flew also different here than in other dimensions. Next was the question, why was he and Sasuke in here? This was an easy one. When they were fighting Kagaya Otsutsuki, Hagoromo's mother, the Sage of 6 Paths gave them part of his power, part of himself. So when he had to come back to Limbo, he had to make sure that those small part would come back with him. So when Naruto and Sasuke died in their world, they were transported here and they were no way back. Wait, I just said that Kagaya was Hagoromo's mother, but he created everything. How is that? When Hagoromo created everything, he was nothing more than a spirit which held the Rinnegan. You could say that he was an alive Rinnegan, who had an objective coded in itself. So when he finished and created everything, the spirit vanished and appeared in Limbo, but was frozen and couldn't do anything. When Kagaya, who was created by the spirit, gave born to Hagoromo, who was the physical representation of the spirit before vanished, made sure that one day it would come back, so it created a world in which Hagoromo would become what he became, the Sage of 6 Paths. Naturally, when the Rinnegan user was born, he didn't get the spirit's knowledge. No, he did only when he died in the real world and appeared here, in Limbo. That is how things went. Or somehow like this. It has been 174 years since Hagoromo explained this. It was about to happen that Naruto would forget. So, Naruto pulled the necklace back under his shirt and raised back to his feet. He walked calmly to Hagamoro, and the creator of everything opened his eyes again. The blonde looked in the older sage's eyes. I saw you looking at one particular dimension for some time now. Something is wrong with it? Naruto asked and saw the Rinnegan user shake his head with a sigh. Yes, something has gone wrong in one of the dimensions and many lives are dying. Too many. If this continues, humanity in this dimension will die out soon, Hagamoro stated and looked at one of the brightest stars. Naruto's bored expression turned into an excited grin as he heard what Hagamoro said. He wasn't excited because humanity was dying, but because he, Sasuke and Hagamoro could only intervene in this world when humanity was at the stake. Sasuke was sent to a dimension that had the same problem before. It was exciting since they, spirits that had nothing to do, were given bodies and were allowed to live again. They were allowed to savor the taste of food again. They were allowed to feel the rush of emotions during a fight. They could feel pain and satisfaction when they won. They were allowed once more to love and make friends. Hagamoro allowed them to choose when they wanted to come back. Once they finished their job, they could come back any time they wanted. Or they could wait until they died in this world and then come back here. It was like coming back to live. Well, basically it was. And it was exciting. Hagamoro looked at the blonde who was ready to go and shook his head with a small smile. Before you go, there are rules that you must follow, Hagamoro said and got the blonde's expression. You can't tell anyone what you truly are and you are not allowed to use chakra outside your body. Hagamoro said the last part with a smirk, causing Naruto to go wide eyes. Why? The blonde asked simply, as he was curious behind the second rule. Hagamoro gave Naruto a challenging smirk. To the place that I am sending you, you without chakra is enough to deal with the threat. But this is not the whole reason. If you will use chakra there, it will be too easy for you and you will get too bored too soon. Think about it as a challenge to see if you can do this without chakra, Hagamoro said, and the blonde nodded with a smirk on his own. Naruto's body started to glow with white light. But before anything happened, the blonde heard Hagamore's voice once more. Ah, I forgot to tell you, when you will be there, you will most likely return to being a child, the Rinnegan user stated with a snicker. Naruto's eyes widened in shock and disbelief. Son of a bai, he was interrupted as everything around Naruto turned white, causing him to close his eyes, and then everything went black. Naruto opened his eyes slowly and then closed them to protect it from the sun above him. The blonde sat up and sighed while looking around. Suddenly he remembered where he was and a grin formed on his childish face. Wait, childish face? Naruto thought and slowly raised to his feet. He looked around and saw a pond, not too far away. He used chakra to enhance his speed and he was kneeling in front of the pond not a few seconds later. His right hand pinched his cheek when he saw his reflection in the crystal clear water. He looked with wide eyes at his childish face, which looked back in the water. Kurama? Kurama! Naruto shouted to the Biju which was sealed inside him at his birth. He heard the gigantic fox grumble something and Naruto called to his companion once more. What do you want, Naruto? Don't you see I am sleeping? The fox asked, his voice filled with irritation that the blonde has woken him up from his nap. Naruto ignored the tone that the fox used and asked the question that has been bugging him since he has his reflection. Kurama, how old is my body? Asked the man in a child's body. The Kyuubi was quiet for a few moments before he replied with a snicker. Your body is 10 years old. Kurama started laughing when he saw the shocked expression on Naruto's face. Damn, what about my chakra control and all other skills? This time he asked himself and placed his left feet on the pond. He didn't sink, so he continued with his right feet, then once again left. Soon he started to walk on water, which was followed by Naruto running and jumping around on the pond. After 10 minutes of testing out his control, the blonde stopped running around and sat under a nearby tree. He took the lotus position and started to gather natural chakra. No longer than half a minute and the blonde opened his now orange eyes with a horizontal bar in them. So my chakra control is still as good before coming here and I can slip into sage mode. But it takes 30 seconds, the blonde thought, and as has about to leave sage mode, he felt a genin level chakra signature coming his way, albeit at a relaxed pace. The blonde decided to scout from the shadows first before he would announce his presence, and maybe with some luck, he would have to fight the incoming person. He jumped on the tree he was sitting under and hid in the leaves. He waited for about 5 minutes until a large, about 5 meters high humanoid giant came out of the forest. It had no sex organs, had a large grin on its face, and its eyes were looking exactly at him, surprising Naruto that it found him. The giant then started to walk towards Naruto, and to the blonde's shock, it suddenly jumped at him, with its maw open. The blonde boy pumped chakra into his legs and pushed himself away from the branch he was standing on. Landing another tree, the blonde saw as the humanoid crashed into the tree he was standing before and then fell to the ground. Naruto watched as the beast slowly raised to its feet again and turned towards Naruto. Damn, that was not what I meant with a fight. Normally the blonde would have no problem with something like this, but since he was not to use chakra and had only a single kunai with him, he could only use chakra to I am such an idiot. Naruto whined in his head, causing Kurama to snicker. Within a blink of an eye, Naruto was in front of the beast's face, his left leg extended back. The blonde sent his leg towards the beast's face and watched with satisfaction. When the beast's head snapped back and the body was sent flying 10 meters away. Wasn't as hard as I thought, Naruto said to himself, and the orange pigments, which showed that he is a perfect sage, vanished slowly. Naruto's senses screamed at him, and the blonde jumped away on instincts. When he landed on yet another tree, he saw that where he was previously was standing another giant. The hell? How many are there of them? The blonde asked himself, and to his surprise he got a response from Kurama. Many, very many, and more than the human energy I can feel in this dimension. The demon's answer shocked the blonde to his core. Naruto shook his head and jumped on another tree. This one higher than the previous 3. Which directions can you feel the human life force? Naruto asked and watched with wide eyes as the first titan slowly stood up while a third one came out of the forest. Kyuubi was silent for a moment before answering. South from here. If you will go full speed, you will meet them in 10 minutes. But you should know that they are moving this direction, the giant fox said, and Naruto nodded. He pumped chakra into his legs once more and started to sprint towards the south. True to Kyuubi's calculations, 8 minutes later Naruto was crouching on the top of a tree which was overlooking a large clearing on which were only a few trees. What interested the blonde the most was the cloud of smoke coming his way. With a shrug, the blonde jumped down from the tree and started to walk calmly towards the incoming cloud of smoke. Kurama said it was humans, so Naruto knew he could deal with whatever was coming. The smoke stopped about 100 meters in front of Naruto, and the blonde used chakra to enhance his vision. He saw a lot of humans wearing green cloaks and sitting on horses. A young blonde man in his 20s with thick eyebrows was talking with a man who had short brown hair, but Naruto couldn't hear what about. A few moments later, the blonde man started to ride calmly to the shinobi. When the person on the horse was close, Naruto saw that the older blonde had also blue eyes. The older blonde stopped about 3 meters in front of Naruto and looked at the 10-year-old boy. Who are you and what are you doing here? The older man asked calmly, his voice even. Naruto smiled at the man and introduced himself. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, and I don't know exactly what I am doing here. I woke up on a branch of a tree and then started to run towards here when those giants tried to eat me, Naruto said, and then looked at the older man. So, where am I? Bushy brows. The blonde asked with a grin when he saw the older blonde to frown. My name is Owen Smith, and to answer your question, you are about 10 kilometers away from the Shiganshina district, Owen said, and before the younger blonde could ask, he continued, tell me, how did you escape the Titans without the 3D maneuver gear? He asked. Naruto blinked twice and looked at the other blonde with a puzzled expression. The 3D what now? He asked with squinted eyes. Owen pointed to the gear around his waist and thighs. This is 3DMG, which we use to fight and kill Titans, he explained and looked back to Naruto. Back to my question, how did you escape? Owen asked once more, and Naruto pointed at the trees, confusing Owen. I jumped from tree to tree and was able to outsmart them, Naruto said, causing Owen's eyes to widen before they went back to their normal expression. Over their little talk, the brown-haired man came closer to the two, and after hearing Naruto's proclamation, he came even closer, now standing next to Owen. The man looked at the blonde boy and asked, so, you want to tell us that you, a child, was able to not only jump from tree to tree but also outrun Titans? The new man asked. Naruto looked in the man's eyes and nodded without any hesitation. There was silence for a few moments until the brown-haired man turned around and started to go back to the group. We will continue this talk later. For now, get on one of the spare horses and follow us if you don't want to die here, the man said. The young blonde followed the brown-haired man towards where the spare horses were. Keith Shotties. The man introduced himself and rode away, leaving Naruto, who started to mount the horse. Once he was on it, He shifted in the saddle and started to ride it until he was riding next to Erwin. So, wanna tell me about what is happening here? Naruto asked the other blonde, who looked at the child of the corner of his eyes. With a sigh, Erwin started to tell Naruto about everything, starting with how there are no other people in this world, besides everyone inside the walls. He continued with telling Naruto about Titans and what mankind has found out about them, namely, their weak spot on the nape of their necks. Then he told the blonde about the 3 military groups, Survey Corps, Garrison, and the Military Police Brigade. Erwin told the differences and jobs of those 3 groups, and if Naruto would have to choose, he would take the Survey Corps, since they are the only one who truly fights for humanity's survival. The older blonde was shocked and glad that Naruto would have chosen the division he is and that he understands what Survey Corps is doing the whole time. He then told him about their expeditions. Naruto learned that the Corps was currently going toward one of their newest bases, which was in the Forest of Giant Trees, also called Titan Forest. He was told that they were able to build buildings made of wood on the giant trees and connect them with bridges, so they don't waste their gas to get to another of the buildings. The Survey Corps was using this base to rest, replenish the gas and blades if they had to fight Titans before they got there. As they entered the forest that Naruto woke up, the blonde heard someone shout something in the front. A 6-meter class Titan, 700 meters in front of us. Someone shouted and then he heard Keith's voice. Prepare to engage. The commander of Survey Corps ordered and the first voice started to count down the distance between the group and the Titan. Erwin looked at the blonde and was once again shocked that Naruto, instead of being scared, looked excited. The blonde caught Erwin's gaze and asked, "What?" The blonde questions, and the older of the two shook his head and pointed towards the back. Naruto, slow down and join the supply group. You are not allowed to leave the supply squad until we deal with this Titan, Erwin said, and when the other blonde nodded and started to slow down, Erwin picked up the speed and joined the formation. After slowing down, Naruto took a turn and started to ride towards the supply team, at least until he heard the first cry of pain and fear from one of the scouts. Naruto's eyes hardened and he turned back and rode as fast as he was able towards the Titan. When he was halfway there, he saw another 3 Titans coming out from behind the trees. The blonde maid turned more to left and started to ride towards the back of the Titan. When he was close enough, he jumped from the horse's back on the ground and then pumped chakra into his legs. With a mighty leap, he landed on a 7-meter Titan's back. Right before Naruto jumped at the Titan, it caught a Survey Corps member and slowly brought him towards its maw. The man started to thrash around and scream for help, but no one was coming. He could only watch helplessly as the Titan slowly brought him closer to its mouth. Naruto took out the Singe Kwani he had and used Futon Chakra to enhance its cutting power. With a swift slash, he cut the nape of the neck open and jumped back, not wanting to get dirty by the blood. The soldier who was caught by the Titan looked at Naruto with wide eyes, before he heard Keith order everyone that they are going forward towards the base. Hearing this, Naruto caught up with his horse and quickly rode to catch up with the supply squad. Before he got so far in his plan, he heard Erwin's voice call to him, "Naruto, what are you doing here?" The older blonde ordered, but before Naruto could start to answer, the one who the boy saved answered, "Buntaicho." The soldier shouted with a salute, "This boy saved me and killed the Titan that grabbed me from behind. Were it not for him, I would have died," the man reported, shocking the blonde soldier who turned back to the 10-year-old child. "Is that true?" Erwin asked and Naruto nodded. Erwin was quiet for a moment before turning around on his horse. "We will discuss this as well, but first we need to get to the base," Erwin said and started to ride with the rest of the soldiers. Naruto thanked the soldier who answered for him and followed Erwin towards the base. If the young blonde remembered correctly, they still had some time before reaching the forest of giant trees. Kurama, any ideas about how I am gonna explain this?" The blonde asked his companion, who snorted and closed his eyes to go to sleep. "No, it's your problem, not mine. Good luck," the demon fox said, with a chuckle, leaving Naruto alone to think out a way to explain what he did and how he did it. Finally, after another 2 hours of riding on the horse, the Survey Corps and Naruto were just in front of their base. The blonde, who was riding in the middle of the formation, heard many gasps and shouts from the front. Naruto looked to his left, to where he saw Erwin, who also looked confused. With the next words of Keith, the confusion changed into shock. "All forces retreat. The base has been destroyed," the commander shouted, shocking everyone. Next thing Naruto knew was his horse being turned around and everyone, himself included, was galloping away from the forest. He looked over his shoulder and saw many Survey Corps members being eaten and crushed by a large amount of Titans. Naruto's gaze lingered only for about 3 seconds, and in this time he was able to see at least 30 Titans in this place. The young blonde looked at Erwin for his reaction, and surprisingly, Erwin didn't seem all that surprised. It was like it happened before. His eyes widened when he understood the situation they were in. I see. So even if the Survey Corps has the strongest soldiers of humanity, they still are too weak to fight evenly against Titans, the blonde told himself, and a grim expression came to his face. The Survey Corps rode for hours without any break. Keith commanded that they were going back to their base tonight, and weren't taking any pause until they reached Shiganshina district, one of the 4 cities outside Wall Maria. During their ride back, no one spoke, and only when they had to engage Titans. Many more people died during their way back towards the base, so when the gates were in front of them, the ranks of Survey Corps were missed 40% of the soldiers. Naruto was cut off his musing when they entered the Shiganshina district, and the blonde saw how many people lined the streets. Thanks to his enhanced hearing, he was able to hear how almost all of the adults were bad-mouthing the Survey Corps, saying that they never achieve anything. Soon the bad-mouthing changed into mutters and whispers when the citizens saw Naruto riding next Erwin. The reason why people started to talk about him was that he was too young to join the military, and he wasn't wearing the Survey Corps attire. The blonde-eyed boy was still wearing the black, button-up shirt, black pants, and black shinobi sandals, also. The necklace he was wearing under his shirt had jumped out when they were riding, and everyone around could see the beautiful green crystal. Some people were saying that the blonde was coming from the outside. Others were saying that he was trained by the Corps since he was a child, and now they were showing him to the world. There were also a few people that said that he was coming from another dimension. He chuckled when he heard the last one, and if it would be his first time in another dimension, he would have been a nervous wreck that someone came so close to finding out what he was. The Survey Corps rode through the district and then entered Wall Maria, where their actual HQ was located. The trip to the HQ, which was a large white castle, took about 30 minutes with a slow pace on their horses. Naruto remembered Eren saying that the Survey Corps' actual HQ was in Wall Maria, but they also had another one in Tros. The reason why they used the base in Wall Maria was that it was closer to the outside world than the one in Tros. Once they were in the yard of the castle, Naruto stepped down from the horse and saw Erwin walking towards him. Naruto, Keith Dancho wants to see you in his office. Let's go, the older blonde said. The two walked in the castle and soon entered a room which was on the top floor. It was the commander's office, and it was the only room on this floor. The room looked like every study Naruto had seen. The walls were lined up with bookshelves, full of books, and in the middle of the room was a desk, which was facing the door. Behind the desk was a big window, overlooking the rest of the castle and a small village. Erwin closed the door, and the two blondes took a sit in front of Keith, who had his fingers steepled in front of his face. The three sat in silence for some time before Keith asked, "How did you kill this Titan? Back when they attacked us the first time?" The commander asked calmly, and both him and Erwin watched Naruto, wondering how he would respond to the question. The blonde was prepared that such a question would be asked, so he didn't have a problem answering it. I am not sure myself. I just felt something in the back of my head and acted on instincts." He knew that he shouldn't lie, but it was the only way for him to let them accept him, without saying the truth. Shades was silent for a moment until he looked in Naruto's eyes. "What did you use to kill it?" the brown-haired man asked, and Naruto reached to his pocket. Both of the older men looked shocked when they saw the blonde take out a small blade. The blue-eyed boy showed the kunai to Keith. "I used this. I am not sure where I got it from, but I simply knew how to use it," Naruto stated, and it wasn't a lie. He didn't know where he got it from. Maybe from a shop before he died, or was it a gift from someone? "How is it possible for you to kill a Titan with this toothpick?" he asked, confused. Naruto asked the man if he could show it to him, and after he was allowed, he stood up and walked to the wooden door. He pumped futon chakra into it, just enough to cut through the door, but not enough to let the two soldiers see it. He took a swing and cut the door in half, shocking Erwin and Keith. "So you don't know what you were doing outside the walls and where you come from?" the Survey Corps commander asked, and when Naruto shook his head, Keith sighed. "I see. Erwin, escort Naruto to the dining room. Give him something to eat and come back here when you are done," he ordered. Erwin did as he was ordered, and the two blondes were walking through the large castle once again. They arrived in a large room where several other Survey Corps members were eating their meals. After Erwin has given the younger blonde food, Naruto took a seat at a table that looked to be not used by anyone. While Erwin went back to Keith, the blonde started to eat and enjoy the meal. Man! I have forgotten how good food is! The blonde told himself as he took another bite of the food. His attention snapped back to reality when a blonde-haired man snapped fingers in front of Naruto's face. Who are you and what are you doing here, kid? The man asked. Naruto lifted his gaze and his azure blue eyes met small hazel eyes of the man. Naruto blinked once before taking another bite of the food and ignoring the man. I asked a question. The man shouted and hit the table. Naruto swallowed his food and looked at the man once more. Uzumaki Naruto, and as you can see, I am eating, or are you too stupid to deduce it from the food and me putting it in my mouth? The blonde mocked with an annoyed expression. He was having food first time in years and here some idiot was interrupting him. Besides, didn't you see that I was with you since like almost beginning of the expedition? Naruto asked with a smirk. He heard people around them snicker and giggle. The man narrowed his eyes and raised his right fist. Learn your place, brat. The man shouted and launched a punch at Naruto. The blonde saw the attack from miles away and with deadly precision, the boy caught the man's wrist, turned around on his chair and threw the man 5 meters away, into a wall. Naruto huffed and rolled up the sleeves of his button-up shirt, shocking everyone who watched how muscular his forearms were. Anyone else? The blonde asked with narrowed eyes. When everyone stopped looking at him, he sat down and continued to eat his food. Unbeknown to everyone in the hall, Naruto was able to hear all the mutters about him, causing him to smirk. Soon, the blue-eyed boy finished his meal and waited for Erwin or Keith to come to him. He didn't have to wait too long because of the blonde with big eyebrows came to the hall soon and sat in front of Naruto. I and Keith Dancho have talked about what we will do with you and we have come to an idea, Erwin stated without beating around the bush. Naruto looked at the older man with a raised eyebrow and nodded for him to continue. After I told Dancho that you were able to kill a titan without a 3 DMG, he became very interested in you, so we have decided to make a deal with you, Erwin said, picking Naruto's interest with this deal. If you join the Survey Corps and lend us your power, we will grant you citizenship in Wall Maria, in a village near here, and you won't have to go to the military school for 3 years, the older blonde stated. Naruto was silent for a few moments before asking, why do you believe that I am ready to join the Survey Corps? The 10-year-old asked, and watched as a smile came to Erwin's face. You were able to kill a titan with only your small knife, while most of our soldiers need to create a 3-person group to kill a single titan with 2 swords and 3 DMG. Besides, we won't take you in without any training. If you accept, we will teach you how to use the 3 DMG, the older blonde said, his smile still intact. You mean this thing that allows you to fly around? Naruto asked with a grin, and when the soldier nodded, Naruto answered, deal. He shouted and extended his right hand with Erwin mirroring the gesture. So about this citizenship, where is the village? Naruto asked once he retreated his hand. Erwin motioned Naruto to walk to the window, and then pointed to the village which they could see from the window. Naruto saw that it was a small village, but with everything he would need, meaning shops with food. The village's name is Haida. It isn't too big, but I can guarantee that you can live a calm life there. You will have about 40 minutes with a foot at a normal pace and about 10 minutes with a horse, Erwin stated. Naruto squinted his eyes and pointed at the road towards the village. Why is there a single house so away from the village? The 10-year-old asked. The seasoned soldier shrugged his shoulder and walked away from the window, Naruto following him. Probably a family not wanting to live in a village because it is too loud. Come on, let me show you the sleeping quarters, where members of the Survey Corps, who come from far, live, Erwin said, and lead the younger blonde to one of the free rooms. The next morning we find Naruto and Erwin standing on the Survey Corps training ground. Today Naruto would do the aptitude evaluation for the 3-dimensional maneuver gear, in which the young blonde was confident he would have no problems. While Naruto was so confident, Erwin was not. The older blonde knew that there are very little people who have the necessary skills in how to learn to use the 3 DMG, and even lesser can have no problems with the balance on their first time. When the 10-year-old tucked his belt, Erwin lifted him and was shocked that Naruto had no problem staying upright. He didn't even twitch in the air. He was staying perfectly still. It was like he did this for the 100th time. So, how did I did, Erwin? Naruto asked with a grin as he watched the baffled expression on the older man's face. The soldier shook his head and put the boy down on earth. Once he was on the ground, the blonde untucked the belt and looked at the soldier. That was perfect, you didn't even twitch for a single moment. It was like you knew what you were doing from the very start, the older blonde said, and Naruto's grin widened. So, when do we learn how to use the 3DMG? Naruto asked eagerly, and Owen smiled at the boy's enthusiasm. The older blonde started to walk back to the castle, confusing Naruto, who asked where he was going. Erwin looked over his shoulder and smiled. Now that we know that you will be able to learn to use 3DMG, you have become a member of the Survey Corps. Now come, we have your new attire waiting, he said, and resumed his walk toward the castle. Naruto grinned and followed Erwin. After he got his new clothes, the older soldier told Naruto to go change and then come back on the training grounds. Naruto ran to the room where he was sleeping the other night with an excited grin. The blonde wasn't so excited for a long time, but who can blame him? The three-dimensional maneuver gear gave so many new opportunities and it looked like so much fun. After he got to his room he quickly changed, and when he was done, he looked at himself in the mirror. The blonde was now wearing the common white pants, which were worn by the whole military, and a brown sash around his hips. On his feet were brown knee-high leather boots, which to Naruto's surprise were very comfortable. He had his black, button-up shirt on, while a light brown jacket was worn over it. The jacket had the Survey Corps badge on each shoulder, on the front left pocket, and in the center of the back. His necklace was tied around his neck, but the blonde didn't hide it under his shirt. He nodded to his reflection and went back outside to the training ground where Erwin waited for him. All right, I am ready, Naruto shouted and ran to the older blonde. Erwin opened a large crate where a new 3DMG was being held. All right, put it on and we will start the training, Erwin said, and Naruto hurried to put it on. A week after Naruto started his training with 3DMG, he was summoned to Keith's office. When he entered the room, he was surprised to see Erwin, Mike, and another person he didn't know. He knew Mike since the blonde with mustache helped in his 3DMG training, while Naruto was a bit shocked that Mike has sniffed him and then smirked. But something similar has happened in the past with Kiba, so Naruto didn't have a problem with this. Naruto and Erwin saluted to Keith, and after he told them to stand down, he motioned the two to sit. I have a mission for the four of you. The military police brigade has asked for help to subdue 3 people in the underground, who are rumored to be using the 3-dimensional maneuver gear, the commander told his soldiers. Naruto raised an eyebrow but decided to ask Erwin about it later. So, I finally have a chance to see how good I have become with the 3DMG. I hope that we are gonna chase someone good and strong, Naruto thought. He was snapped from his thought when he heard Erwin accept the missions and told them to take the 3DMG with them, and be prepared to engage the opponents in a fight. Naruto grinned at the last part as they left the room, leaving Keith alone in his office. Once they were out, the young blonde turned to his squad leader a question about their assignment. Erwin, wasn't the military police supposed to have the best cadets or something like that? Naruto asked as they walked. Erwin looked at Naruto, who was walking with his hand in pockets, and sighed. Absolutely no respect for his squad leader, Erwin lamented in his mind. That would be right. But due to the fact that they almost never train and don't have to use the 3DMG, they get out of practice, Erwin explained. Naruto hummed and then looked at his captain. What is this underground? Is it some district or something? The 10-year-old asked and raised an eyebrow when he saw the older blonde to shake his head. No, you see, there is a large cave under Wall Sina, and people who can't afford the life on the outside live there. The underground is also a place where many illegal actions like slavery and drugs happen daily, Erwin explained. Naruto nodded once and then waved to his squad captain. See you later, gotta prepared me for the action. The boy shouted and went to his quarters since his house in the Haida village would be ready in about 4 days. 10 minutes later, Erwin, Naruto, Mike and Peter, the one who Naruto didn't know earlier, were ready to go to Wall Sina. All of them had the signature green hooded cloaks with the wings of freedom on their backs as they rode towards the underground. They were in position, waiting for the perfect moment to attack. They saw the military police brigade go after the 3 people who they had to catch. What surprised Erwin was the skill that the 3 showed with the 3DMG. There was the chance. The police has lost the track of the 3. Erwin nodded to his team, and the 4 Survey Corps soldiers followed their mission. As soon as the 3 have saw who was following them now, they changed their tactics. One of them shot to the left, while the second went to the right. Naruto's eyes followed the third, who suddenly shot behind them, amazing Erwin with his skills. Naruto smirked when he saw the person shot into one of the abandoned houses. Naruto looked over his shoulder at Erwin and said with a smirk, "I got this one, Erwin." Naruto's hooks shot forward and he propelled himself with the gas, leaving his teammates to follow the other two. Naruto saw the person came out from a stone tunnel and look over his shoulder. Naruto grinned when he saw the person's eyes widen for a second before they returned to normal. With a grin, Naruto shot both his hooks at a large tower, which was the highest building in the near. Naruto used gas to fly into the air, confusing the person who was looking out of the corner of his eye. When Naruto reached the highest point he could, he released his hooks. His hooks once again shot together, but this time, they both hit into the ground. Naruto pivoted himself in the air, so he was falling face first into the ground, while gas shot from his 3DMG. The person who was being followed as well as Erwin who looked from shadows were shocked by this move, and when it looked like Naruto was about to hit the ground, he released his hooks and did an front flip. A second before his feet touched the ground, he did two things. First, he pumped chakra into his legs to absorb the damage. The second, he shot his hooks towards the nearest the person he was following. Right to Naruto's assumption, the person was able to dodge both the hooks, which resulted in the digging in a clock tower behind the person. As soon as Naruto's feet touched the ground, he pushed with both his legs, using the chakra in them, and shot the gas from the 3DMG. The blonde soldier shot out like a rocket, almost too fast for a normal person's eye to follow. He flew through the air, and when he was exactly above the person he was chasing, he grinned when he saw the shock in those dull blue eyes. Pivoting his body in the air wasn't too hard, but the kick he landed on the person's face was. The person flew to the ground with power enough to dislocate the hooks of his 3DMG. Luckily he hit a large wooden crate, making the person grunt in pain. But he had no time for it. He rolled away as Naruto landed where the person was previously, destroying the crate with the power he landed on it. The person, which was a male with black hair, took out a small switchblade and prepared to fight Naruto, who took out his kunai and grinned. Naruto parried a thrust from the man and elbowed him in the gut. The man was able to block the elbow with his other hand and tried to kick the feet from under Naruto, but the blonde surprised him by doing a flip over him and doing a sweeping kick, which made the black-haired man fall to the ground. He jumped back to his feet and sent a roundhouse kick to Naruto's face. Naruto was able to catch the kick under his armpit, but the man using his other feet and kicked Naruto in the chin, knocking the Survey Corps soldier back. Naruto wiped the blood away from his mouth and grinned with excitement when he saw his blood. He shot forward a bit faster than previously, and kneeled the man in his face with a jump. The man blocked it and slashed to the blonde's face with his switchblade, under which Naruto ducked. The black-haired man took his blade in a reverse grip, trying to surprise Naruto. But the blonde easily predicted this and blocked the attack with his kunai. The soldier landed an uppercut on the man's chin, making his head snap upward. Naruto followed by catching and twisting the man's hand which had the switchblade, making him drop it. He kneed the man in the gut, making him gasp and lose his breath, while his second hand caught the man's neck. He kneaded his sequence by kicking the feet out from under the man and brought his second hand behind his back. The blonde sat down on the man's back, preventing him from escaping the position, and tied his hands with a chain made of metal. That was some taijutsu for a civilian, even if he is a bandit, Naruto thought with a grin as he watched as Owen landed next to him, while the man under him trashed, trying to get free. "Stop it! Look around you," Owen commanded to the man, making him look to where Owen was looking. From behind a corner came Mike and Piter, with the other the people tied. One of them was trying to resist while shouting. Seeing that his friends were caught, the man stopped struggling to get free. "Damn it! Let me go!" The tied girl shouted and tried to get free from Mike's grip. The other person caught, who was the boy, saw in what position was the black-haired man and shouted to him, "Levi!" The boys shouted in panic, seeing their leader and strongest fighter under a blonde boy with both his arms tied. Mike and Piter positioned the other two next to Levi, making them kneel in front of Erwin. Naruto stood up from the now named Levi and took a place behind the girl, while Mike took a place behind the black-haired man. Erwin watched them with a serious expression. Even though he was thinking about black-haired skills, finally he spoke. "I will ask a few questions," Erwin stated and lifted one of their 3DMG. "Where did you get it from?" he asked. But none of the three answered his question. "You guys are skilled with the 3DMG. Who taught you all that?" he asked the next question, but yet again they stayed silent. Seeing that it won't work this way, Owen walked up to Levi and asked another question. You are their leader, right? Were you trained in the military? The blonde asked, but he got only an angry glare in response from the black-haired man. Suddenly Mike caught Levi by his hair and pushed his face into a dirty puddle. You! Shouted the girl at Mike. Levi moved his head so he could glare at the soldier who pushed his face into the puddle. I will ask one more time, where did you learn how to use three-dimensional maneuver gear? Owen asked, but this time the other male in the small group answered his question. Not from anyone. We learned this by ourselves. He shouted. Owen narrowed his eyes slightly and looked at the man while repeating his answer. Self-taught, you say? Owen asked rhetorically and then continued. I don't buy it. The man who answered glared at the squad captain and shouted. It is just so we are able to raise even a bit from this garbage place. He stated truthfully. People who are used to sunlight like you guys won't understand. He shouted the second part, his voice filled with anger. The girl looked at Owen with narrowed eyes and shouted, That's enough, let big bro go. Don't be cocky just because you are soldiers. Her voice was filled with anger, but Naruto could feel the small amount of fear when she shouted the second part. Owen's eyes glanced to Levi and he wasn't surprised when he found the other man glaring at him. He nodded slightly and Mike lifted the black-haired man from the puddle, but he was still holding him by his hair. The squad captain crouched in front of Levi. My name is Owen Smith, and yours is? He asked, and after a moment the black-haired man answered, confirming it to be Levi. Levi, why don't we make a deal? The soldier asked. A deal? Levi asked and looked into the blue eyes of the squad commander, who had a serious expression on his face. From behind the girl, Naruto was curious what kind of deal his captain would ask for. I will let your crimes go unpunished. In return, lend me your strength, he said, and his eyes took even more serious look. Join the Survey Corps, Owen stated. The three captured people looked at Owen with shock, until Levi narrowed his eyes. And if I refuse? He asked with a glare. The military police will have you. Considering all of your crimes, he said and stood up. You and your friends won't be treated very nicely. He continued and took 3 steps back before turning around and looking at Levi. Choose whichever you prefer, he ordered. Levi was quiet for a moment before he smirked slightly. Fine, he said, shocking his friends. He spat to the side and glared at Owen. I will join Survey Corps, he stated. Owen was quite pleased with himself. Those 3 were already strong, and when they would be trained properly, they could become a powerful asset in the Survey Corps. Naruto sighed with a grin when he saw his reflection in the mirror. Even if he was in the body of a 10-year-old, all of his muscles stayed, making him probably the best-built 10-year-old in this world. The reason why he was standing in front of a mirror was simply, some noble got sick and the only way to cure him is to bring some herbs from the outside, so the Survey Corps was having an expedition to the outside world to get those herbs. The reason why he didn't have them inside the walls was that it needed a special habitat, and all of those herbs were already gone. So he and his comrades were going flower picking while killing titans. He buttoned his shirt and threw the Survey Corps jacket on him. When he was done, he looked out of the window of his small house in Haida village. He was living here for 2 days. 6 days have passed since the fight with Levi and his friends, and he was enjoying it here. The villagers were nice to him. He was being paid very well. He had a bar next to his house. The blonde sighed when he saw a horse in a small stall. It was the same which was used by the Survey Corps on their expeditions. Naruto got it when on the day he was moving in, he saw a group of thugs trying to rob an older man. He beat the crap from the thugs, and the old man, who in reality was a farmer, gave Naruto this horse since the blonde could use him better than the old man. Since then the horse named Konoha, since the horse was a female, living in a stall that the house of Naruto had. Konoha was fast and had great stamina, but when Naruto saw how much she ate, he almost threw her away. Fortunately, he did get paid enough to be able to feed the 2 of them enough, so he kept her. The blonde put on his boots and opened the stall for Konoha. He mounted her and started to ride toward the Survey Corps HQ at a relaxed pace. He still had much time before the Corps would go for the expedition, so he was in no hurry. As he rode through the peaceful road, the blonde closed his eyes and started to gather natural energy from all around him. He could feel the bird on the trees, the rabbits in the field. He could feel all of the people in the village. He could even feel those 6 people in the lone house. His eyes suddenly snapped open when he felt one of the chakra signatures vanish, which could only mean one thing. Let's go! Naruto shouted, and Konoha started to gallop towards the house as fast as she could. Naruto could feel 3 malicious intents coming from the home. One was confused while the last one was scared and heartbroken. Naruto narrowed his eyes when he saw the house and heard a woman scream for help. In a second, Naruto jumped from Konoha and rushed through the door, making everyone turn towards him. One of the 3 men in the house snorted and said to Naruto, "Get lost, brat, before something bad happens to you," the man said, and was about to turn back around until he saw the jacket the blonde was wearing. "Survey Corps!" he shouted, shocking everyone in the house. The second man, who had a gun, grunted, "TSK, it's just a kid, not a solider, you idiot, now kill him quickly," he ordered with a smirk, causing the first man, who had a small knife, smirk as well and move towards the boy. "Die!" the man shouted and lifted his sword to stab the blonde. For everyone besides Naruto, one moment the man was standing, the next a flash appeared on the level of his throat, and he fell to the ground, dead. "Why, you will pay for this!" The second was shouted and aimed his gun at the soldier, who tensed, and at the very moment the man shot from his gun, the blonde disappeared, once again shocking everyone in the house. He appeared next to the man, grabbed his hand, and with a quick twist, he broke it, making the man shout in pain. Naruto sent an uppercut to the man's gut, making him gasp and spat blood. Naruto suddenly moved the man's whole body and pushed it forward, blocking a strike from the third man's attack. The man with guy lost his head to the axe of his partner in crime. The third man shouted in shock and lifted his axe high into the air, trying to at least kill Naruto for what he has done. But a hook suddenly went through his head. The man didn't even saw when Naruto had reached for the handle of the sword and shot the hook. The blonde retreated his hook and the man fell right in front of Naruto's feet. The blonde then turned to the 2 alive female, who were hugging and crying, either because they saw him kill those 3 without any remorse or because of the death of the father. Naruto crouched in front of the 2 and his eyes softened seeing them cry. "It's all right, they won't hurt you anymore," he said softly, and was surprised when a young girl around his age hugged him tightly and started to cry into his chest. Naruto hugged her back and let her cry her eyes out. His gaze turned to the mother, who was looking at him with gratitude and a small smile on her face. Naruto smiled back slightly and waited until the girl would stop crying. Eventually, she had no tears left, and she sobbed silently in his chest. Naruto pulled back and looked at her beautiful pale face and black eyes, which in Naruto's opinion looked very good together. He saw her long, silky black hair which went down to the middle of her back. He gave her a soft smile. "My name is Naruto, what's yours?" he asked quietly as he wiped the last tear from her eye. She was silent for a moment before answering. "Mikasa Ackerman," she whispered and tried to smile. The blonde's smile brightened and he rose to his feet, Mikasa following him, her arms still around his chest. The blonde looked at the clock in the room and sighed. "I am sorry, but I have to go. The garrison will come here to investigate the sounds of shots. Tell them what happened and they will surely help you," Naruto explained to the mother. He tried to pull away from the girl, but she didn't let go. "No! Please don't go!" she shouted and hugged his chest again. The blonde sighed and tried to explain to her that he had to go on an expedition, and if he would be late, he would be punished. "But what if you die?" she asked as new tears formed in her eyes. Naruto gave her a grin and pointed at himself. "Don't worry, I won't die. I am too awesome to die yet," he said cheerfully, but Mikasa didn't seem too convinced, making him sigh and think about for a moment, and then it suddenly clicked. He took off the necklace from around his neck and held it in front of Mikasa. "Let's make a deal, okay?" he asked, and she nodded slowly, mesmerized by the beauty of the crystal. "You see, this is a very precious memento for me. It was given to me by my grandma. I will give it to you, and when I am back from the expedition, I will come back for it, all right?" he asked, and the black-haired girl's eyes widened. "I can't take it." She tried to refuse it, but before she knew, Naruto had already placed it around her neck. He gave her another grin, but this one was a teasing one. "It makes you look even more beautiful, you know," he said, and was satisfied when he saw the girl blush crimson. He slowly pulled back, and this time, she let go, but reluctantly. When he was at the door, he gave her another smile, which made her blush even more. "See ya, Mikasa," he said, and mounted Konoha. Mikasa watched her blonde hero ride away on the black horse towards the White Castle. She unconsciously caught the necklace in her small hand. Mikasa's and her mother's gaze turned towards where they heard footsteps. Soon 3 garrison soldiers came into view, and the mother was relieved to see that 2 of them were females. She was also surprised when they saw Grisha Jaeger and his son coming their way. Naruto sat on his horse as Keith started to give a speech about their mission and the plan for the expedition. All Naruto knew was that he had to keep near Owen and kill all Titans in sight. That was enough information for his mission for him to accomplish it. There is one thing that he remembered besides this. Levi and his two friends were on the right flank and they would be the first to engage Titans if any would attack the core. So basically if they died, Naruto would have more Titans to kill. Maybe he would be able to get away from Erwin and join one of the flanks or even the forward scouts. The blonde saw how many people watched him with disbelief and he could understand them, sort of. It was a well-known fact that the casualties of every expedition were 30%, and suddenly a child is being drafted into the Survey Corps, and was going to hell. Naruto shrugged and watched as the gates opened and he rode behind Erwin. As he was riding, he wondered how Mikasa and her mother were doing. He knew very well that the 3 garrison soldiers were coming, together with some adults and a child. He didn't know the last 2, but he knew that the garrison soldiers would be able to help those 2. His eyes shifted to Levi and the blonde saw the similarities between the 2, pale skin, narrow jawline, dark eyes, black hair. The blonde listed in his mind, either it is really a big accident, or they are related, the blonde thought. Shrugging his shoulder, he focused on the task at hand and started to follow Erwin, who turned more to the left. They were the team that would collect the herbs, while Keith and his team were the rear guards. And if he remembered correctly, Mike was on the left flank with Piter. The Survey Corps rode through the fields for 2 hours already, but the flanks have killed every Titan that came trying to eat them. The forest in which the herbs were was in front of them. They entered the forest and saw a Titan corpse lying on the ground. Next to him was a Survey Corps soldier. The left side of his face was eaten, and there they were. The rest of the team were fighting against Titans, 3 8-meter class, 2 3-meter class, and 4 12-meter class. Erwin took out his swords and shouted, "Change to 3 DMG and kill the Titans. Hana! Collect the herbs." Erwin commanded and shot the hooks of his 3 DMG. Naruto grinned and took out the blades. He jumped from his horse and his left hook shot forward, digging into a tree on the far left. He used gas to propel himself and made a huge arc in the air. The blonde unhooked his left hook and pivoted his body in the air. He shot his right hook into a 12-meter class Titan's neck and flew towards it, near the ground. When he was close, he shot his left hook into another tree and let his left hook go. This caused him to fly upward, but in the last second when he was near the ground, he cut the Titan's Achilles tendons, making it fall to the ground. Gas shot from his gear, making him fly high into the air. He changed the position of his left hook from the tree to another Titan's face. He used gas to fly once again low, but this time, he flew perfectly above the 12-meter class Titan's neck. With a quick slash, he killed the Titana and flew towards the Titan that had his hook in its face. The Titan, an 8-meter class, used his left hand trying to catch Naruto, but the blonde let go of his hook and pivoted himself in the air. He landed on the Titan's forearm and started to run towards its facing. The blonde suddenly jumped into the air, just in time to avoid getting killed by the Titan's second hand. The Titan broke his own left hand, but Naruto didn't waste time think about it. He shot his left hook to a tree on far left, and his gas propelled him to the right. The blonde made a perfect arc around the Titan's neck and with another slash, he cut its nape, killing his second Titan. The blonde vertically on a tree and watched what was happening. If he was seeing right, another 2 from soldiers have died, causing Naruto to grunt. He shot his left hook towards another 3 and pushed himself away with chakra. He flew through the air and was just in time to kill another 8-meter class Titan from eating a Solider. The blonde landed on the corpse of the Titan and saw a 10-meter class Titan coming from the forest. The blonde shot both his hawks, his left going to a tree on the right, while his right hook dug into a tree on the left. He used chakra and gas to propel himself forward but didn't unhook his hooks, which made then shot his with twice the speed back. He pivoted his body in the air so he flew horizontally toward the 10-meter class Titan. He placed both his blades above his head and started to spin. Soon his whole body spun so fast that he looked like a tornado. The Titan swung its hand towards Naruto, trying to catch him, but the blonde easily cut through it. Thanks to the spinning power, he was able to cut into the Titan's throat and exit through the nape of its neck. The blonde, who was whole in blood, landed on a tree, searched for his another Titan to attack. Before he jumped into the battle, he inspected his blades. This maneuver has cost him half of his blades. With a sigh, he changed the blades to another pair and shot forward. In the time it took Hana, who was guarded by Erwin and another 4 soldiers, to collect the herbs. Naruto scored another 7 kills, making the total 10, of course. Each and every one of them would look perfect to other soldiers. But the blonde knew that he had yet to learn the full capacity of the 3DNG. He knew that he could get better with it, and he had already planned to develop his skills to the full potential. Mission complete. Let's head back, Erwin commanded, and Naruto sighed. Well, 7 it is, he muttered, and jumped down from the tree he was standing. He lay next to his black horse and mounted her. With a quick command he started to gallop with his team, while the forward scouts stayed behind. Naruto changed his course slightly, so he could ride behind the cart and see what they actually collected. He saw some kind of herb. It was all green and it had red dots all around. The blonde shrugged his shoulders and went back to his position. As soon as they were on a large field, Erwin shot a green flare into the air. Soon a green flare was shot from behind them, followed by Keith's and the left flank. But when there was no flare from the right flank, Erwin shot a yellow flare towards where his right flank was. Soon Keith shot another green flare, allowing Erwin to investigate. The blonde captain changed directions and his squad rode behind him. Within a minute the squad arrived where the right flank should be. But to everyone's horror, bodies lied everywhere. In the middle of those bodies was a steaming corpse of a Titan, and Levi standing over it. Patrol the area, he ordered, and he went down from his horse. Erwin walked over to Levi. So, you are the only survivor, how pathetic. With a small smirk, Levi didn't answer. He looked down while his hair shadowed his eyes. Suddenly Levi swung his left blade at Erwin, who caught it with his right hand. I am going to kill you, Levi declared, causing Erwin to narrow his eyes. That's why I am here. Erwin didn't answer. Instead, he took out a scroll from his pocket and threw it on the ground. Levi was confused about what it was and looked at it, but didn't let go of his sword. These documents revealing Lobov's crimes are fake. The real ones have likely reached Arasakle by now, Erwin said, shocking Levi. Lobov is finished, he stated. Soon the confusion changed into anger as Levi glared at Erwin. You knew everything right from the start. You knew we were after you, Levi shouted and tried to attack Erwin. And yet you dash. He was stopped by Mike, who was standing there a whole time next to the core. Mike pushed the black-haired man back, who fell to his knees and sobbed when the realization hit him. He remembered the last word from his friend, who in reality were like family for him. Don't do it, Erwin said, causing Levi to look at him. If you begin to regret, you will dull your future decisions and let others make your choices for you. All that is left for you then is to die. Nobody can foretell the outcome. Each decision you make holds meaning only by affecting your next decision. We are continuing this expedition. Levi, I expect you to come, he told the black-haired man and mounted his horse. He shot a green flare, and a few moments later all members of his squad had been gathered. They all rode towards Keith's position, which was a large hill. From here on, they would decide their formation. Levi watched as everyone rode away on their horses, leaving him behind. He clenched his right hand and slowly rose up to his feet. Fine, I will follow you, Erwin Smith, and as long as I live, I will never regret this decision, Levi thought, and mounted his own horse. All squads arrived at the hill, and the squad leaders went to discuss the formation with their commander, while all the other soldiers had finally some time to rest. Of course, once they had a chance to relax, it started to rain. Naruto thought it would be a great opportunity to clean his cloak and face from the blood, so he took the green cloak off and placed it on a stone. He sat on the stone and started to meditate. He started to gather Naruto energy, but not enough for the pigments to show, so he wouldn't freak his comrades out. He was cut out from his thoughts when someone tapped him on the shoulder. Naruto opened his right eye and saw a woman with shoulder-length, light ginger hair and amber-colored eyes. He remembered seeing her somewhere, but he couldn't find her name. Can I help you, miss? The blonde asked with a friendly smile. The woman, who looked around 17, smiled back. Petra Ral, and I just wanted to thank you for saving me back in the forest, she said, and Naruto remembered killing a Titan that almost ate someone. No problem, Petra, after all, we are comrades, right? He asked, and she nodded. Petra sat down next to Naruto on the stone and looked at his cloak with a raised eyebrow. You know that we have a special cleaning supply that washes blood without any problem, right? She asked and smiled when Naruto grumbled something under his breath. He threw the coat over his shoulders and placed the hood on his head. So, how long have you been in the Survey Corps? Naruto asked, and Petra blushed in embarrassment with a chuckle. I have been in the Corps for 2 years by now. I have joined with a friend of mine, Alio Buzato. I have been searching for him since we came here, but she was interrupted when a voice shouted from behind, a 9-meter class Titan approaching. A man shouted, causing everyone to turn to where the voice came. Seeing who shouted it, Petra sighed, causing Naruto to raise an eyebrow. That's him, she said, making Naruto snicker when he saw the man prepare for battle. Before any soldier could do anything, the sound of the 3DMG was heard by everyone and Naruto shouted why he was in the air. He is mine! His voice carried through the whole hill. The blonde shot his right hook toward one of the few trees around and made a huge arc. He stopped in front of the Titan, and used gas to propel himself into the air. While he was flying, he pivoted his body in the air, so when he was in front of the Titan, he was head down. Many people gasped when they saw the Titan's arm move to catch Naruto. But before it could catch him, he shot his right hook to the Titan's face. Gas shot from his 3DMG, and thanks to the position he was in, he shot towards the ground. A moment before he touched the ground, he felt resistance coming from his hook. The Titan tried catching Naruto with his other hand, but the blonde used gas to fly between the Titan's legs. Thanks to the resistance of the hook, Naruto was shot upward, a little higher than the Titan's neck. He let go of his right hook and his left hook dug into the back of the Titan's head. Once again the gas shot from his 3DMG and the blonde landed on the Titan's neck and slashed at its nape. Blood sprayed out of the wound and the body of the Titan fell to the ground, with Naruto standing on it. And that's 11 today! The blonde shouted and used the 3DMG to get back to the group. Everyone was watching him with wide eyes, even the squad captain and Keith. The only people who weren't surprised and shocked were Owen, Mike, and Levi. Owen and Mike weren't surprised, because they saw the blonde's skills with the 3DMG firsthand when they were teaching him how to use it. Levi, on the other hand, wasn't surprised because he lost already once to Naruto, so he knew that he had to be good. Keith shook his head and coughed into his fist. Attention! He shouted, and every soldier, even Naruto, saluted to their commander. We have achieved the first part of our mission. Our current objective will be establishing a base in the forest of the giant trees. The gates of Shiganshina district came in view. The Survey Corps has been outside the walls for 3 weeks, establishing a base in the giant forest. This time they build it 30 meters above the ground, not 20 like last time. In those 3 weeks, Naruto didn't have too many encounters with Titans, because to everyone's shock, there were almost no Titans in the forest this time. That didn't mean that they haven't lost any soldiers. While not as many as usual, they still lost 20% of the Corps on this one expedition. In this time Naruto got to know Petra and Alio better since Owen assigned him to their team. The blonde also got to talk with Levi and they had a relationship like Naruto had with Sasuke when they were teens. They were rivals and maybe even friends. Now, 80% of the Corps was entering the Shiganshina district. Naruto saw the citizen of the district making a way for them to go. His eyes shifted through the faces of various people, who looked surprised to see so many of the soldiers coming back. Naruto! He looked where the voice came from and was surprised to see Mikasa with a brown-haired boy standing on a crate. He gave her a smile and looked at Owen. Owen, I am gonna chat up to you later, Naruto said and jumped from his horse. Owen's eyebrow twitched when Naruto didn't even wait to see if the captain would allow this. With a sigh, he grabbed the leash of the black horse and continued to go with the rest of the soldiers. Many murmurs and whispers went through the crowd when they heard Naruto talk to the squad captain so informally. Naruto shrugged it and went through the crowd. He entered an alley where he saw the 2 kids. As soon as the black-haired girl saw him, she hugged his chest tightly and didn't let go. Naruto smiled and rubbed her back. I haven't been around for almost a month and you already got more beautiful. Mikasa, the blonde teased and the girl blushed. The brown-haired boy looked at Naruto with wide eyes. Why, you are a member of the Survey Corps, right? He asked with excitement. Naruto chuckled and nodded with a grin. Naruto Uzumaki, at your service, he said, and the girl pulled back. The blonde gave her another smile, which she mirrored. The 3 started to walk through the alley. The boy looked at Naruto with stars in his eyes, while Mikasa was walking close to Naruto. So cool. Do you think that you can teach me how to use 3DMG and kill Titans, please? The boy asked Naruto, who was a bit shocked but shook his head, disappointing the boy. Sorry, Brownie, but you will have to join the military to learn how to do this, Naruto said with a smirk. Eren pointed at the blonde soldier and shouted, I am not Brownie! My name is Eren Jeager. Eren shouted, causing Naruto to snicker and pat him on the head. He looked at his friends. Mikasa, where do you know him from? The boy asked, looking at the girl. She looked at Naruto and caught the crystal in her hand. He was the one who saved me and my mother on the day we have met, she answered, causing Eren's eyes to widen. The three left the alley and sat down on the grass, which was next to a river. So, how have you been, Mikasa? The blonde asked as he saw the girl play with the crystal. She gave him a smile and looked at Eren. Good. After you rode away, 3 garrison soldiers, Eren, and his father came to our house to see what happened. After we told them what happened, Grisha invited me and my mother to their house, he and Shiganshina, she told the blonde. Naruto was silent for a second before he started to mutter something under his breath. What did you say? Asked the confused Eren as the two friends looked at Naruto. The blonde's eyes snapped towards the brown-haired boy and grinned. Thanks for helping, Mikasa, Jigerbomb, he said and started laughing. Mikasa and Eren looked with confusion when Naruto started to hold his sides and laugh hysterically. Naruto? Mikasa asked as they saw the blonde cow down slowly. The blonde saw the confused looks on their faces and his sighed and shook his head. With a last chuckle, he said, You will understand once you are older, he told them, causing Eren to glare at him. You are not so much older than us, the boy shouted, and Naruto flashed him a smirk. But unlike you two, I am already a soldier, he said proudly, causing Eren to grumble something under his breath. The blonde sighed and rose to his feet. Well, it was nice hanging out with you, but I gotta go or Owen is gonna give me another lecture, Naruto said. Mikasa's eyes widened when she heard that he already has to go. Can't you stay a little longer? She asked and clenched the crystal in her hand. Naruto smiled sadly at her and shook his head. Sorry, Mikasa, I will visit when I will have the time, but for now I must go, Naruto said, and the girl hugged him. Surprising both boys, Naruto rubbed her back and pulled back. He was about to go but was stopped by Mikasa. Wait! She shouted and reached for the necklace. Mikasa took it off and gave it to Naruto, who smiled softly at her. He placed his hand over hers and took the necklace from her. Keep it, he said, and placed it around her neck, shocking the girl. She looked at him with wide eyes and he grinned. You look more beautiful with it on, he said, causing her to blush. Well, I will see you, he shouted over his shoulder, and shoot the hooks of his 3DMG. You know that you are not supposed to use it within walls? The grumpy voice of Kurama ringed in Naruto's head. The blonde shrugged his shoulder, and propelled himself with the gas. Meh, like the do something to me, he answered with a smirk and pivoted himself in the air. He was flying head down, and Naruto flew over a makeshift table of 4 garrison soldiers. He gave them a grin and took one of their donuts. The 4 garrison soldier looked at his retreating foe with wide eyes. Damn, one of them said. An 11-year-old Naruto slashed with his swords, killing another titan. He didn't know how many of them he has already destroyed. He propelled himself towards another of those beasts and killed it without any remorse. The blonde landed vertically on a large tree and tried to see what was happening. Everywhere around him the Survey Corps members either killed or were killed by the titans. Blood and gore were everywhere around him, the stench causing most of the new recruits to puke and feel bad. The young soldier didn't know how they got to this situation. The expedition started like every other. They rode from Shiganshina district towards the forest of giant trees. The Corps took a formation created by Erwin, which they have already used on earlier expeditions. The formation was magnificent and it worked like wonder. This time, however, something went horribly wrong. The scouts that are taking the point of the formation have the job to alert Keith if any titans are getting close on them. They then use the flare guns to change the direction of the expedition so the squad with supplies doesn't have to engage titans. Today, the Corps didn't see even one titan, which was shocking, since they were behind the walls. The scouts entered the forest of giant trees since there was no sign from the forward scouts to change the directions, yet when they neared their base, which they established on Naruto's very first expedition, they were suddenly attacked by titans from every direction. There were so many titans that when the beasts attacked, they had to fight each other to get someone to eat during the battle. Naruto was able to find the corpses of the forward scouts, and it looked like they were also killed before they knew what happened. That would explain the lack of flair from them. Naruto was cut out from his thoughts when Levi landed next to him. The black-haired man's body was fully covered in the titan's blood, exactly like Naruto was. What's the situation? Levi asked, and Naruto shook his head. With a glare, Levi hit the tree they were standing on. Damn it! Without Keith or Erwin they are gonna eat us all, the man stated. Or you can get in command and order our next move, Naruto said, and without waiting for a reply, he shot his right hook and flew away. The man tsked and took a deep breath to think about what he had to do. Naruto spun in the air, avoiding getting caught. His hook shot behind a Titan's shoulder and the blonde shot towards the other direction, making an arc around the Titan and getting the chance to kill the beast. His right hook shot forward and a smirk came to his face when he heard Levi's voice. Everyone! Get as high as you can and get out of this forest! The black-haired man shouted and was surprised when almost all soldiers instantly followed his plan. He himself changed his blades and went to help Naruto, who was able to gain the attention of most of the Titans. Levi killed a Titan and flew next to Naruto. The two started to use teamwork to kill as many Titans as possible. But with every Titan they killed, 3 more came. Naruto caught Levi's forearm and threw him high in the air. Naruto flew in front of a Titan's face, getting its attention, while Levi killed the beast. Naruto neared Levi and shouted, Levi! We will get overwhelmed in a few moments. Let's go! The blonde shouted and cut off a Titan's arm. Levi flew under another Titan's feet and cut its Achilles tendons, giving Naruto perfect opportunity to kill it. Yeah, the black-haired man shouted, and the two used their 3DMG to get high into the air. They then shot their hooks and started to fly across the forest, until they found an area where were less Titans. Naruto whistled with his fingers and Levi mirrored this. They didn't have to wait for too long as their horses came for them. The two lowered on the ground and mounted their horses. Let's get out of here! Levi shouted and the two started to gallop through the forest. Naruto took out a flare gun and shot a green flare into the air, directly in front of them. Soon, a few flares were shot from a different direction, each pointing to where Naruto had aimed at. They are here, the blonde commented, getting a grunt from his partner. Soon they entered a vast open field on which they saw already some people waiting for them. When they got closer they saw that it was Erwin, Keith, Petra, and Aluo. The 4 of them were bloodied and looked devastated. Soon more people came. Mike and Hang were ones of them. Naruto looked around and saw that there are only about 30 people here. Naruto narrowed his eyes and shot a flare into the air. Everyone waited with the bated breath if someone would reply. But after a few moments, it becomes clear that they were the only survivors. Most of the Survey Corps, or more exactly what was left of the Corps, looked devastated. Naruto closed his eyes to pay respect to his fallen comrades and then rode to Erwin and Keith. When the blonde was close, he looked at the 2 men. Erwin looked devastated while Keith looked like he wanted it to be a nightmare from which he would wake up soon. So, what happened in the forest? I remember Dancho shouting that the base has been destroyed and prepare to fight. But then Titans came out. From there on, it was chaos and no one knew what was happening. The young blonde soldier asked and Erwin looked down. The older blonde placed the hood of his cloak and turned his horse toward where Shiganshina district was. Right after the Titans have ambushed us, an abnormal Titan came and started to lead us away. We tried to come back, but more and more Titans shrouded the way towards you. Only when we heard Levi's order, we decided that you have the same problem. So we decided to fall back. He told to his comrades since Keith was still not responding. Naruto sighed and looked at Mike, who looked down with anger and sadness evident in his eyes. We did as you ordered, but the Titans were everywhere. We had no chance of escaping. Wetho thought out that we all gonna die. A few of the rookies panicked and attacked the Titans. We knew that it was futile, so we decided to run away. We are all that's left. The man clenched the leash of his horse. I see, so the Survey Corps has been reduced to about 30 members, from which 11 are severely injured, 4 are rookies fresh from the training corps. A cart full of parts of the bodies and only a single supply cart has survived. Well, it could have been better, Naruto commented, and Levi elbowed the blonde in the ribs. Erwin sighed when he saw that what Naruto said was completely true. His gaze shifted towards the commander of the Survey Corps, and he saw the man glaring at the ground. Sir, I think that we should move or Titans are gonna come here soon, the squad captain advised. Keith didn't say anything, he just nodded and started to ride away. They all rode in silence until the gates of Shiganshina district came into view, but even then no one spoke. Almost everyone was having their hoods on, trying to hide their faces in the shadows. The only people who didn't hide their faces were Naruto, Erwin, Levi, and Keith. They rode through the inner gate, and the vast amount of civilians on sides of the road came into view. The hopeful faces of the citizen turned into sadness, disgust, and anger when they saw how little soldiers came from the expedition. Naruto's gaze shifted to the ground when he heard all the murmurs and whispers of the civilians. He and every soldier that survived stopped when they saw a woman get on the road and shout out a name, Moses. Moses! The woman shouted. She walked up to Keith and asked, my son, Moses, I don't see him. Where is he? She caught Keith by his cloak. Keith's facial expression didn't change as he looked into the woman's eyes. This is Moses' mother. Bring it, he ordered, and a soldier with black hair walked over to the cart. He soon came back with an arm-length cloth stained with blood and placed it in the woman's hands. She looked at it with wide eyes and then back at the cloth. She quickly unwrapped it and gasped when she saw an arm. This is all we managed to retrieve, the commander stated as the woman fell to her knees and started to cry. The man crouched in front of the woman who was hugging the arm as tears fell from eyes. But my son, he helped, right? The woman asked, shocking the Dancho. She looked at him with tearful eyes and asked, even if he didn't do anything directly, my son's death helped humanity fight back, didn't it? Keith looked at the woman with wide eyes as silence prevailed in the main road. Of course! He shouted with conviction, but suddenly he realized something. No, our expedition this time didn't know. We never learn a thing, he shouted as he clenched his eyes closed. It's all my fault, my own incompetence killed our men. Every person around listened with wide eyes, and we still don't even know what they are. Tears flowed free from his clenched eyes. Everyone was silent as they watched as the commander of Survey Corps sobbed quietly and muttered under his breath. No one dared to move or speak as they waited for something to happen, and it happened. In the total silence, everyone heard the sound of leather boots hitting the ground. They listened as the person walked calmly on the road made of dirt, and they all heard as he stomped once on the ground in front of Keith. The commander lifted his gaze when he heard the stomp and was surprised to see the youngest soldier in the corps looking at him with an apathetic expression. Stop crying and making fools of yourself and the Survey Corps, Naruto said loudly enough for everyone to hear him. You are the commander of the Survey Corps. You were a person that men and women were willing to believe. They all were prepared to die on your command because they believed that you would bring mankind a step closer to victory. And you want to give up now, after countless people died, placing their hope in you? He said, shocking Keith, who looked at the blonde with wide eyes. I know what you are doing, Keith. You think that no matter your actions now, nothing will change because in your opinion this life is meaningless. You think that no matter what dreams we have, no matter our hopes and plans, we will still die. And you are completely right, the blonde said, causing the civilians to gasp and the soldiers look at him with wide eyes. But does that mean that life is meaningless? Was there even any meaning to us being born? Would you say it to all of our fallen comrades? Their lives, were they meaningless? Naruto asked and grabbed Keith roughly by his cloak. The blonde shocked everyone when he lifted the man to his feet. No! They weren't. It's us who gives the meaning to our comrades' lives. The brave fallen. The anguished fallen. The ones who will remember them are us, the living. We die trusting the living who follow to find meaning in our lives. That is the only way we can rebel against this cruel world. Naruto shouted and shoved Keith back, making the man fall on the ground. Yeah! Naruto looked back and saw the remaining Survey Corps cheer while raising their blades. Everyone was shocked when the civilians also started to shout and cheer for the blonde, who smiled and mounted his horse again. From his position, he saw that Keith got up and walked up to Erwin, who was at the front of the formation. Erwin, will you take the position of commander from me? The brown-haired man requested, and everyone was shocked until the older Ban nodded with a firm nod. I will. When he said those words, the crowd cheered once more. Erwin was stunned because it wasn't every day that the civilians cheered for Survey Corps. But today they did it twice. Once after Naruto's speech and now when he accepted the position of Dancho. Let's go, he ordered. What was left from Survey Corps followed Erwin silently until 2 minutes later when the newly named commander heard a voice to his left. Yo, Erwin. I will see you guys later, congrats on the promotion. The man sighed when he heard Naruto say this. The young soldier was a perfect warrior in every aspect. His strategies were flawless. His skills were only matched by Levi. He was able to inspire his comrades to fight against the biggest odds. But like every perfect weapon, Naruto had his own drawbacks. First was that the boy was like a raging fire. You could try, but you would never have him under his full control. He could switch from a soldier who listened to orders to a freelancer who would drop from the formation at any moment because he thought it would work better. With another sigh, Erwin watched as the blonde on a horse entered an alley where were standing two children, about the soldier's age. Naruto grinned and jumped down from his black horse. As soon as he touched the ground, he was hugged by Mikasa and he hugged her back. Eren, meanwhile, was looking at him with admiration in his eyes. Even if they were friends, Naruto could only spend so much time with those two, because he had trained his 3DMG skills almost non-stop when the Survey Corps wasn't on an expedition. This left a small amount of time for him to meet with Mikasa and Eren. The three had become good friends, and when Naruto could, he would always spend time with them, telling them about the outside world, taking them on rides on his horse, or even sometimes taking them on a fly on the 3DMG in a forest. Sometimes even a blonde-haired boy, named Armin Arler, would go with them. Naruto wasn't able to get to know Armin better since when Naruto had time, the other blonde couldn't go with them. Naruto smiled when Mikasa pulled back from her hug and the three started to walk towards their usual meeting spot. "How have you been?" Naruto asked his two friends. Of course, he had more friends in the Corps, like Levi, Erwin, Petra, Mike, and even Olu, but his only friend who was his age was Mikasa and Eren. "Well, good, I guess. Nothing new happened. We have been mostly waiting for you to come back and tell us more about the outside world and your expedition," Eren said with a bored tone and suddenly turned to Naruto with stars in his eyes. "So? What happened this time? Did you kill any titans?" the brown-haired boy asked. Naruto chuckled at his friend's antics but also saw that the black-haired girl was waiting for him to tell them what happened. As he was about to start to tell them, they heard Armin's voice and the three sighed. "Well, let's go," Naruto said, and the three children and a horse walked through alleys. Soon they found Armin being bullied by three boys, who were laughing and pushing Armin around. "Oh, you idiots! Leave Armin alone!" Eren shouted, gaining their attention. The boys' eyes widened when they saw Mikasa and Naruto standing there, while Eren ran towards them. "Gee guys! It's them! Mikasa and Naruto! Run away!" The obvious leader shouted and the three boys ran away, causing Eren to smirk. He pointed his finger at them and shouted at their retreating forms. "Yeah! Run away like the cowards you guys are!" The brown-haired boy shouted, making Mikasa sigh and Naruto chuckle. The three walked to where Armin was picking up his book. "Oh, Armin, you should fight back one day," Eren commented. The four of them walked to the river and sat in front of it, while Naruto told them about their recent expedition. "And that's what happened," Naruto said and sighed. As soon as he ended telling them about the recent expedition, Mikasa turned to him and started inspecting his body for any injuries. "Are you hurt anywhere? Doesn't anything cause pain to you?" she asked as she looked over his arms. Naruto chuckled when he saw how overprotective the girl was, but he thought it was nice to have someone worry for him like her. Mikasa pouted when she heard him chuckle and looked away with an embarrassed blush on her cheeks. "Don't worry, Mikasa-chan, I am alright, but thanks for the concern," he said with a smile, which the girl mirrored. "Nah, Naruto, what abo?" Armin was interrupted by an earthquake, which made the whole district shake. The four children could hear the shouts of fear and confusion on the main street. "What was that?" Eren asked as he shot on his feet. His friends didn't wait too long and the four were walking towards the main street to see what was happening. Once they were on the road, they saw countless people pointing at the wall, which confused the four. Naruto's eyes narrowed when he saw a gigantic hand grab the wall, causing cracks to appear everywhere. "Stay here," Naruto ordered and shot towards the wall, using chakra to get there as fast as possible. "Naruto!" Mikasa shouted as she saw her friend fly towards the wall. Where the colossal titan was, the blonde didn't stop. Instead, he used his 3DMG to get there. The blonde crossed the Shiganshina district in mere seconds, thanks to using chakra, and he started to climb the wall exactly when the titan's huge face peeked over the wall. The blonde arrived on the wall, and he saw the titan's eye move towards him. But that wasn't what shocked him. What shocked Naruto was the intelligence in the titan's eyes. The blonde narrowed his eyes when he saw the titan swing its leg backward like it wanted to kick the wall. Naruto quickly shot his right hook towards the titan's neck and propelled himself with gas. The blonde saw the titan's eyes follow him, but the giant didn't move, surprising Naruto. He shrugged and detached his right hook, which made him fly right behind the titan's neck. The left hook shot forward and the blonde used twice the amount of gas he usually would use. When the blonde was close enough, he swung his two blades at the titan, but before he could connect, steam shot from the titan's back, shocking Naruto and making him lose balance in the air. Hot! The blonde shouted in his mind and let go of his left hook. The blonde soon came out of the cloud of steam and saw the Titan's leg shot forward. The soldier could only watch helplessly as the gate burst open, allowing hordes of Titan to enter the Shiganshina district. His eyes widened when he saw the Titan simply disappear like he didn't stand there before. TSK, damn it! The blonde shouted and shot both of his hook towards the wall. Once he was on it, he saw the garrison soldiers trying to stop the Titans, but they couldn't kill even one of the beasts. The blonde knew that he had to help to defend the district because this was his job as a soldier. But he really wanted to help his two friends. With a sigh, the blonde jumped from the wall and started to maneuver through the air towards Eren's house. The blonde knew that Eren and Mikasa would run there as soon as the gate was breached. Naruto landed on a rooftop and saw Carla, Eren's mother, under a lot of debris, while Eren, Mikasa, and his Anna, Mikasa's mother, were trying to lift it. He was about to jump down but stopped when he heard a 3DMG near him. He looked to the left and saw a garrison soldier land next to his Anna. If the blonde remembered correctly, then this was Hannes, a friend of Eren's family. Naruto jumped down from the roof and landed next to Mikasa. Naruto! The girl shouted in relief seeing him alive. The blonde gave her a smile. But before he could say anything, everyone heard loud footsteps. When they looked to their right, they saw a 5-meter class Titan with a wide smile, showing its teeth and blonde hair. Naruto could the fear coming from everyone and he looked at the garrison soldier. Hannes, get Carla out of under it and take them away from here, Naruto ordered and whistled with his fingers. Suddenly his black horse came out from an alley and galloped to the blonde. You will carry Carla while Mikasa, Eren, and his Anna are riding the horse. Without waiting for any longer, the blonde shot towards the Titan. Naruto's right hook attacked on a rooftop and the blonde shot forward to it. The Titan tried catching the blonde, but he was able to pivot his body in the air and avoid getting caught. When he was close enough to the Titan's face, the blonde detached his right hook and his left hook pierced into the Titan's calf. The gas propelled Naruto forward, making the blonde fly a few centimeters above the ground. Once he was close enough, he cut the right Achilles tendon of the Titan, making it kneel. The blonde propelled himself into the air, where he attached his left hook to the Titan's shoulder and shot forward its face. The Titan tried to catch the blonde with its maw, but the blonde threw one of his blades in the Titan's eye, making it roar in pain and move its head back. Naruto landed calmly on the Titan's shoulder and cut the nape of its neck. The Titan fell down and Naruto, who was still standing on it, saw the amazed looks of Eren, Mikasa, and his Anna, who were already riding away, with Hannes, who was running next to them while carrying Carla bridal style. The blonde gave the three one last grin and shot toward next Titan, who was about to devour a family. From there on, Naruto was flying around and saving civilians. By killing Titans and giving them time to evacuate to Wall Maria, Naruto landed on another roof, where another 2 garrison soldiers were standing and breathing heavily. The blonde sighed in frustration and thought, of course, Levi is not around and the Titans breached the wall. With him, we would have cleaned the city already. The blonde lamented and shot forward when he saw another Titan. Not too long after, a loud bell ringed, loud enough for everyone in Shiganshina to hear it. The blonde sighed and started to fly back towards the wall. The bell signaled that all civilians have been evacuated and the soldiers are allowed to come back. On his way back, the blonde killed another 2 Titan who was trying to devour the garrison soldiers. Once he was on the wall, Naruto was surprised to see a familiar face. Yo, Pixis. Haven't seen you for a while, the blonde greeted and walked to the commander of garrison. Every garrison soldier was shocked by how informal the boy was with their Dancho. Brat. Show respect to your superiors, one of the garrison shouted, but Naruto waved him off, angering the man even further. The soldier was about to attack the blonde but stopped when he heard the voice of his commander. Oh, Naruto, good to see you too. Thank you for helping to defend the civilians, Pixis said, shocking all of his soldiers. The old man took out a flask with alcohol and took a gulp. No problem. I should probably inform you that the Survey Corps has changed their commander, Naruto said, surprising Pixis. The man looked at Naruto with a thoughtful expression. Who did Keith choose then? The man asked and Naruto grinned. Well, Keith decided that Erwin will be a better choice, so he offered him the position. Of course, bushy brows accepted. We would have a celebration today. But you see what the situation here is, Naruto commented and Pixis nodded with a grim expression. Everything was silent for a few moments before everyone, the people on the walls and even those behind the walls, were able to hear the sound of running. The garrison soldiers and Naruto prepared themselves, and their eyes widened when they saw a large titan, whose body was covered in some kind of armor. The sound of cannons firing filled the afternoon air, as the soldiers gave their all to stop the titan, but no matter how much they shot, he was still running and was nearing the gate. Naruto narrowed his eyes and jumped from the wall, shocking everyone, even Pixis. Naruto flew through the air until he was at the titan's head level. He quickly used his 3DMG and attached his right hook at the titan's neck. Naruto knew that whatever the titan had on its skin was an armor, meaning it would be hard to destroy it. With this in mind, the blonde knew that before killing the titan, he had to stop it before reaching the gate. The blonde circled around the titan, which even didn't try to swat him away, and searched for a weakness. On his second circle, he saw it. The blonde spotted a small gap in the armor. Right on the Achilles tendon, there was no armor. The blonde detached his right hook and instead his left hook shot forward in the house. The gas propelled him, and true to his calculations, when he arrived at the Achilles level, the titan was standing mere meter from him. When the blonde's feet touched the wall of the house, the blonde pumped chakra into his legs. He retreated his left hook and then shot both of them on a house on the opposite side of the street. With a maneuver that shocked everyone, Naruto shot forward as the gas made him fly faster. The blonde pivoted his body so it was horizontally and started to spin while his blades were above his head. Naruto cut perfectly through the armored titan's Achilles tendons, making it fall down as blood sprayed from the wound. Naruto quickly signaled Pixis to shoot, and he himself evacuated on a nearby rooftop. Fire! The blonde heard the commander's voice, and not a moment later, everything was muted by the powerful sounds of cannons shooting. The projectiles hit the armored titan head-on, resulting in a huge explosion that created a smoke screen everywhere. Everyone was quiet, waiting for the outcome. Suddenly a large arm shot from the smoke screen. Wiping it away, the titan's hand destroyed all nearby rooftops, hitting a shocked Naruto and causing the blonde to sail through the air. All of the garrison soldiers looked with fear and astonishment as the titan swatted Naruto away like a fly. The beast slowly stood up and everyone could see that its Achilles tendons were already healed. The titan tensed and then shot forward with his shoulder first. He hit the gate, causing it to explode and send debris everywhere. The garrison, more solid, could only watch with wide eyes, full of fear. As titans started to enter Wall Maria and kill civilians who didn't get away yet, the armored titan vanished suddenly, the same way as the colossal did, shocking everyone even more. They were brought out of their stupor when the sound of 3DMG was heard on the wall. They all turned to where it comes from and everyone looked in stunned silence as Naruto limped to Pixis. The blonde was missing his Survey Corps jacket, while his black, button-up shirt was missing the right sleeve and was covered in blood. They all saw that the boy was limping. His left leg was broken. He was clutching his right side, probably broken ribs, as blood flowed from the various cuts on his whole body. Nevertheless, he limped to Pixis and said, "Send you man to inform every village about the breach, while you go to the Tros district and inform everyone there." Pixis didn't know why, but he simply obeyed and nodded his head. Turning to his soldiers, he stated, "You heard what he said, divide into your teams and inform the villages." The soldiers saluted and did as they were said. Pixis turned back to Naruto and saw the blonde changing his gas tubes. "What will you do?" he asked. The blonde made sure that the tubes with gas were placed right and said, "I will head to the Survey Corps HQ and inform them and the Hadi village," Naruto said, and without another word, he jumped from the wall and started to fly towards his friends. Naruto sighed as he lied down on a bed in his new house. Since the Wall Maria fell, humanity had to fall back to Wall Rose. The blonde bought a house in the Tros district, so he had close to the Survey Corps HQ. Thanks to the saved money he was able to afford a one-room house with a kitchen, bathroom and a stable for his horse. While it wasn't big, it was better than what most of the other refugees from Wall Maria could afford. Most of them were living in slums that were filled to the point that families had no privacy or more than the necessary room for them. They were also fed very poorly. Each person was getting only enough food and water to be able to barely survive. Let's not forget that all people who came to Wall Rose had to work the whole days on fields. Otherwise they could be thrown out of the slums and not given food. After Naruto heard about this, he instantly invited Mikasa, his Anna, Eren, Carla, Armin, and his grandfather to live in his house. While it was an only one-room house, the 7 people were able to live comfortably in it. In comparison to the slums, they found this one room a much better place. Of course, with this limited place, there wasn't too much place for them. Too much furniture, especially places where they could sleep on. Naruto was able to buy 2 mattresses which were able to fit in the room and leave place for an armchair and a table. It was decided later on that Carla and his Anna were sleeping on one of the mattresses. Eren and Armin were sleeping on the other one, while Armin's grandfather was sleeping in the armchair. Naruto and Mikasa were chosen to sleep on the bed since it was Naruto's house, and it was thanks to him that they could sleep in a warm house. Mikasa was chosen because she was the youngest of the group and was a girl, so they thought that she should be sleeping on the bed. It wasn't a problem for either of the kids, so there was no problem with the sleep arrangement. Of course, to be able to pay for 7 persons, you have to have much money, and even Naruto with his salary from Survey Corps didn't have enough money, especially in those hard times. So they all decided to find a job. Naruto found work at a lumberjack, in which he quickly became the boss favorite, thanks to his inhuman strength and stamina. Eren, Mikasa, and Armin found a job at a field. While it didn't pay too much, it was the only job they could get. His Anna quickly found a job in a restaurant as a cook, while Carla was hired as a waitress in a bar. Armin's grandfather found a job at Sumbier as a bartender, since the man was good with drinks. Sadly, those times didn't last too long, since not 3 months later, the government had planned an expedition to retake Wall Maria, in which every refugee that has been older than 18 had to attend. Of course, the whole group knew that the people were simply sent to their deaths because there was not enough food to feed the people inside the walls. Armin, Mikasa, and Eren were heartbroken when they had heard that their parents had to simply go die. This even had changed the 3 children. Naruto saw deep hatred in Eren's eyes, but not for the government, but for the Titans. The boy thought that it was all because of the Titans, and he had sworn to kill every last Titan. Mikasa started to become cold and uncaring on the outside. Naruto knew that the girl was simply putting on this mask to hide her sadness of losing her family. Armin, on the other hand, had sworn to fulfill his grandfather's dream, to explore the outside world. The boy was probably the one who accepted his grandfather's death the easiest, since he knew that it comes to something like his. Before the 3 adults have gone on their suicide mission, Naruto had sworn to them that he would protect the 3 other children with his life. The adults were relieved when they heard this and thanked the blonde. Naruto looked to his left, and his eyes softened when he saw Mikasa looking at the ceiling with an apathetic expression. The blonde caught her hand and squeezed it. "How was your day?" he asked, and she looked at him. Naruto didn't know why, but the 2 were still sleeping in one bed, not that it disturbed the blonde. He knew that Mikasa had nightmares after they came here, but they stopped about a month later. It seems that now they came back, but this time, they were about her mother getting eaten by Titans. The blonde tried to be there for the girl, trying to help her and listen to her when he could, so she wouldn't close up to the whole world. "Good," she answered and sighed when Naruto squeezed her hand once more. "I had to save Eren from the military police brigade," she said. Naruto's eyebrow twitched when he heard this. What did he do this time? Naruto asked, and an annoyed expression came to Mikasa's face. Of course, it wasn't aimed at Naruto. She threw a rotted potato at one of the police brigade because he heard him say how pathetic we all were, she stated, and Naruto smirked when he saw her eyebrow twitch. In Naruto's opinion, she looked cute this way, or should he say more cute? She narrowed her eyes when he saw him smirk. Why the glare? "Mikasa, I am just thinking about how adorable you look when you are annoyed," the blonde said, and snickered when he saw her head away to hide her blush. "Shut up," she said, causing him to snicker even more. "I said shut up," she shouted, and looked at the blonde, who gained when he saw her pout. The door of the apartment opened and revealed Armin, who looked slightly nervous, and Eren, who was nursing a bruised cheek. "Eren, I told you that picking on fights with soldiers is a bad idea?" Naruto asked, and snickered when he saw his friend glare. "This one isn't from a soldier, but from some bully who said that Eren will never become a soldier," Armin commented, getting a glare from Eren, while Naruto and Mikasa sighed. "I really think that we should teach you how to control your emotions, Eren," Naruto said, and Mikasa nodded. Eren sat in the armchair and pointed at Naruto. "Don't teach me how to control my emotions. Teach me how to be a soldier so I can beat all the Titans," Eren requested. Even if it sounded like an order, Naruto shook his head, and Eren shouted, "Why not?" Naruto sighed for the 1000th time this day. "As I said numerous times before, you have to join the military to learn how to kill Titans. Naruto said, and Eren grinned while punching the air. Then I will join the military, and the world will know me as Eren Jiger, the savior of this world. The brown-haired boy exclaimed. Well, you have to be 12 to be allowed into the military, so you have 2 years to train your body. Take an example from Mikasa, who is always training when you two are goofing around, Naruto said. Mikasa blushed at the praise from Naruto. I didn't know he noticed, she thought. Armin looked at Naruto with a puzzled expression. Then how is that you are already a Survey Corps member? Armin asked, and Naruto grinned and put an arm over Mikasa's shoulder. I am just this awesome, isn't this right, Mikasa? The blonde asked. The girl didn't know why, but she was unable to respond, while a blush crept on her face again from the closeness the two shared. Well, I think that we should go sleep. We have to wake up tomorrow morning, Naruto said. Soon the 4 children were prepared for sleep, with Armin and Eren sleeping on 2 different mattresses. As Mikasa placed her head on Naruto's chest and hugged him, she couldn't help but think, why am I always blushing when he compliments me? Whenever someone else does it, I never blush, never. So why am I always blushing when he is around? She asked herself.